Thank you so much for joining in. I think the dream of being a true digital enterprise has been a white whale for most enterprises. However, today we are very close to achieving this dream, and the key reason behind this progress has been the Global Capability Centers, or GCCs, who have been the catalysts for digital transformation for their organizations. Over the next 10-12 minutes, we will explore how GCCs have been leveraging a confluence of multiple technology areas within automation in order to really fuel innovation and help enterprises reach their next evolutionary stage. Let's begin by looking at how the GCCs themselves have evolved over the last several years. For the last 30 years, India has been a preferred destination for MNCs to set up their global capability centers. Today, there are more than 1,400 MNCs who have set up GCCs in India, and the global enterprises are spending more than $35 billion on these GCCs. Over the years, these GCCs have evolved really from being offshore centers for cost arbitrage to strategic arms for their enterprises, taking complete ownership of enterprise-wide transformation programs with end-to-end accountability, driving global charters, and more autonomous decision-making. GCCs have clearly forged themselves into the custodians of innovation and digital transformation charters for their organizations. And what we see is that digital technology has played a pivotal role in this journey of evolution of GCCs. Over the years, GCCs have been very proactive with respect to their investment in digital technology, be it acquiring digital-focused talent, be it in setting up technology-focused centers of excellences, investing in partnerships with the tech ecosystem, or having technology-focused leaders, among other things, right? Among digital technologies, hyper-intelligent automation, or HIA, has emerged as a key area of interest for GCCs. We will look at the definition of HIA in the next few slides, but it is essentially a combination of multiple technology areas coming together, going beyond RPA to include technology areas like AI/ML, technologies like low-code, no-code, API integration, intelligent document processing, process mining, among others. More than 35% of the GCCs today, or around 500 GCCs, are already on their automation journeys. Consequently, the current automation spend among GCCs is upwards of $70 billion, and this is growing quite impressively at more than 50% over the next 5 years. Around one-third of the GCCs have also set up automation-focused centers of excellences to really scale their deployments. And we see that there is a strong focus on onboarding automation-capable talent as well. If you look at the evolution of automation, right, what we see is that automation of manual-intensive tasks is not new, and it's been around, for quite some time. However, automation in itself has undergone multiple stages of evolution in order to cater to more and more complex use cases with more strategic outcomes. Traditional automation involved the use of tools such as macros or data scraping and so on. And while these were successful in automating certain tasks, the challenges sort of far outweighed the benefits, right? Things like difficulties in integration, security risks, governance issues were few of the challenges faced by enterprises who had adopted this earlier avatar of automation. The next stage of the evolutionary journey saw the advent of robotic process automation, or RPA. Processes that were supported by a bedrock of structured data became the obvious candidates and the obvious low-hanging fruits for automation. But this version too had its challenges, since it was not able to automate end-to-end processes. The fact that it could not work with unstructured or semi-structured data as is added to the woes. And more importantly, a disruption or change in the process being automated would lead to the breakdown of the entire RPA deployment. Right, so RPA as a standalone technology for automation had a lot of inherent challenges. This essentially gave rise to this era of hyper-intelligent automation, which can be defined as a confluence of multiple complementary technology areas that are working in tandem with RPA. Right, so this model enables enterprises to adopt a more holistic approach towards automation, as opposed to RPA being deployed and implemented in silos. And this is how we define hyper-intelligent automation, or HIA. It essentially includes orchestration of 3 layers, including automation technology, intelligence technology, and infrastructure technology. At the core, we have automation technologies such as process mapping and intelligence, which includes process mining, task mining, and IBPMS. It includes data-led transformation, which includes intelligent document processing, or IDP. And it also includes workflow process and task automation, which includes low code, no code, RPA, API integration, and intelligent virtual agents. Now, these automation technologies are further bolstered by AI-led intelligence technology, which includes the likes of computer vision, NLP, NLG, and conversational AI. And both of these automation and intelligence tech are powered by the next-gen infrastructure. So this is how enterprises and GCCs today are thinking about automation more holistically. And we can clearly see that GCCs are already adopting these multiple complementary technology areas. While RPA is still the most popular automation technology within GCCs as of now, it is at the same time very encouraging to see the likes of low code, no code progressing very strongly and catching up to RPA. And even other areas such as IDP, API, and process mining are also garnering significant mindshare and adoption. So let's delve deeper into the low code, no code technology. Low code, no code platforms help in truly optimizing the processes and the underlying systems, while we can think of RPA more as a quick fix approach to automate the legacy applications. Organizations can leverage low code, no code platforms to modernize legacy applications or quickly build new applications, including the ability to build front end interfaces, something which RPA truly lacks. So this forms the core business architecture, allowing for omni-channel experience across mobile, across web, and other immersive interfaces. Further, as we can see from this architecture or tech stack view, low code, no code brings a lot of orchestration capabilities, right? Which is the core of hyper intelligent automation as well, to seamlessly integrate with various systems of records and other enterprise systems to form the core data and platform architecture, really enabling the automation of various horizontal and vertical processes across the enterprise. Let us take this example of a large insurance provider who wanted to build an extremely critical policy administration application. This had a very complex underlying workflow and would have taken the IT developers more than 12 months to build in the earlier times. This involved almost 700 underwriters, more than 10,000 transactions, and over 20,000 policy documents. What they did was they leveraged low-code technology, which enabled their IT developers and professional developers to build this application in 3 months flat, which was almost 4 times faster, right? And this consequently led to enhancing the experience not only for their underwriters, but also for their partners as well. So this is how companies are really enabling their professional developers or pro-code developers to unlock the maximum value from low-code technology. A number of companies also, of course, have ambitions of driving citizen development programs where the business users with minimal skills can also start building some simple, low complexity apps. While this is low value as of now, this is expected to evolve in the future to cater to more strategic use cases. Given these benefits, right, I think what we're seeing is that almost 25% of the Indian GCCs who are already on their automation journeys have started to leverage low code, no code technology, in the initial set of use cases. However, overall, the ecosystem is still evolving in maturity, and we see most of the GCCs are currently in the first phase of maturity, that is the starter stage, where the automation focus is still centered on RPA, and there is evolving focus on piloting and experimenting with low code, no code use cases. In fact, almost 3/4 of the GCCs that have started on low code, no code, as we can see, are still in this starter stage. As the GCCs move ahead in the maturity, we witness that they start with large-scale deployments, largely around horizontal processes or functions, such as, say, F&A, such as HR, procurement, and so on. The technology sophistication also increases through convergence with other technologies like NLP, NLG, like IDP, and so on. And there are currently less than 5% GCCs who are in the most advanced phase of maturity with respect to low-code, no-code adoption, or the leader stage. This stage essentially is defined by dedicated investments into capability building through focused COE setups, along with a formalized structure of governance that orchestrates both the pro-code and the citizen developer programs. So while low-code, no-code as a focus area within automation charters is still evolving, there is clearly a great interest among the GCCs with respect to this technology. All the conversations we have had with the GCC leaders, I think one thing is clear, that there is definitely interest in moving beyond RPA and augmenting this with complementary technology areas. And low-code, no-code has emerged as a front runner in that regard, right? since most companies are struggling on how to really progress to the next stage of maturity or evolution with respect to low code, no code, we've come up with a simple playbook for success, with respect to the low code, no code deployments. And this playbook has three pillars of strategy, execution, and operations. The strategy pillar includes articulation of the low code, no code vision within the broader automation roadmap, along with laying down the key KPIs. Process selection forms a very critical step within this pillar to scientifically identify the processes or applications that have to be modernized and the applications that have to be built new. There is also a lot of merit in identifying the higher complexity, mission critical applications that need to be built by professional developers using low code, and the longer tail of processes, which are low to medium complexity, which can be owned up by the citizen developers and built using no code technology. As we step into the execution phase, stakeholders need to build the business case to get the buy-in and executive sponsorship. Centers of excellences or COEs have also proven to be very effective in orchestrating the capability building efforts, and GCCs, should look at adopting the best fit model for the same. Low-code, no-code program should ideally be housed within the broader automation COE so as to maximize its potential by augmenting low-code, no-code with downstream automation. Talent development, of course, is another critical factor to ensure that both your professional developers and the citizen developers are trained and upskilled to ensure success in deployment of low-code, no-code. And while running operations, as with any other automation program, the aspects of governance, security, and change management continue to play a very critical role. Especially if you look at governance, right? It's especially critical in citizen development scenarios, so as to ensure that the apps that are built, they align with the larger IT compliance norms. It's vital to ensure that they do not add to the technical debt of the company, and also ensure that there is minimal duplication of effort, which is there, right? And once we have defined the playbook of success, the question that really arises is that what are the key outcomes that I can really derive from my low code no code program, right? So there are 5 key outcomes that you can realize. Hyper agility, which is achieving a faster time to market by enabling rapid development of applications. Immersive experience, which is about creating user-friendly applications and enhancing the experience of the various stakeholders involved, including your customers, including employees and partners. Driving innovation and performance, which includes modernizing the legacy systems and processes, as well as development of net new experiences and workflows. Ensuring operational resilience by having the ability to quickly build business-ready solutions. Cost savings with increasing productivity of pro-code developers and involvement of citizen developers within automation. So these are the 5 key outcomes that you can derive. And if we overlay this with this example of a leading pharma manufacturer that they used to depend a lot on this service provider for application development, what they did was they decided to adopt an alternate approach and onboarded a low-code platform. This enabled them to build and modernize more than 400 applications, right? All with the help of an internal 30-member strong team. This approach helped the company deploy these applications in almost 1/3 of the time as compared to the previous approach. And this also helped enhance the experience not only for their customers, but also for their internal employees. And additionally, of course, there were a lot of cost savings which happened because they avoided outsourcing to a third-party organization. Hence, it will come as no surprise that GCCs have started looking at low-code, no-code as a strategic factor that can catalyze and augment their automation efforts. So in summary, we've all heard that every company is now becoming a software company. This has evolved into the fact that every company is now a software development company, and hence building developer capacity is becoming more critical than ever. And this is where technologies such as low-code, no-code are poised to become extremely critical in order not only to improve the productivity of existing developers, but also ensure faster time to market, especially for your mission-critical applications. Thank you.